here already. Ain't that something? Preemptive. Hello. Good day, evening, whichever I find you at. I'm gonna share my screen. Should be used. We are going to do evolving seeds, frequently asked questions, and since our terms and conditions are very simple, we will go over those as well. Setting up my TikTok live. Oh, that's the just filming my kitchen wall. I have to flip the camera around. Okay, okay. And I largely figured out why our ancestors wore a lot of cloaks, because they keep you really warm to the point where you get hot. All right, terms and conditions. Number one, be human. Number two, be honorable. The views expressed within EvolvingSeeds.com does not necessarily reflect the views of the featured small businesses or their owners, activists, organizations, or their affiliates. That's our disclaimer. I need to rephrase that a little bit to be more in depth, basically. Frequently asked questions. Please reach us at evolvingseedsfamily@gmail.com if you cannot find an answer to your question. Evolving Seeds official positions. Evolving Seeds holds very authentic official positions on many topics that are red hot in the mainstream. Our position on these topics usually exists completely outside of the common view, perspective, position, worldview, etc. The following insert is a compilation of quotable affirmations that Evolving Seeds holds as eternal truth. Evolving Seeds is prepared to debate and win any argument with regard to these topics. Therefore, we will not be debating or arguing these topics. Evolving Seeds is principled in the natural law and is ever evolving to harmonize with it. Official position number one. Every non-violent, peaceful being is the sole owner of their own body with full and unlimited autonomy. No other being or beings have any right or legitimate authority over the thoughts, emotions, actions, behaviors, expressions, experiences, education, beliefs, or life, etc., of any others in any way. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Every non-violent, peaceful being is the sole owner of their own body with full and unlimited autonomy. No other being or beings have any right or legitimate authority over the thoughts, emotions, actions, behaviors, expressions, experiences, education, beliefs, or life, etc., of any others in any way. People who are violent and are not peaceful and do violate other people's rights by restricting not their rights, their freedom, their inherent freedom is, uh, they don't get to enjoy any of that. They are subject to social and societal consequences as well as eternal consequences. Um, so that's official position number one. Official position number two. By fact of Evolving Seeds' first official position, Evolving Seeds does not support, advocate, or tolerate any form of government because no individual can properly delegate a right that they themselves do not possess, such as the ability to legislate or enforce, to another individual or group. All forms of government constitute various forms of dictatorships. As I've said before, if the end result is you being dictated to, it doesn't really matter how many beings are doing the dictating. The end result is the exact same for you. How everybody dismisses that point is beyond me. Communism, democratic free market capitalism, socialism, and of course actual dictatorships all immorally claim a monopoly on morality. Let me say that again. Communism, democratic free market capitalism, socialism, and of course actual dictatorships all, and I did mean to mention democracies in there with right before dictatorships, all immorally claim a monopoly on morality. More importantly, they all claim to own the human beings within what they consider their jurisdiction, and in doing so, violate natural human rights and natural human freedom with their enforcement of their arbitrary dictates at threat of penalty of violence. We do not recognize the concept of countries as actual things. There is no scientific evidence for the existence of countries. Therefore, Evolving Seeds rejects nationalism as imaginary and actually divisive. We do not recognize borders or border laws. Private and personal property are not the same as national borders. Personal space and private property exist in nature. National borders do not. There is zero scientific evidence to support the existence of national borders. Evolving Seeds does not believe in the imaginary concept of illegal immigrants, quote unquote illegal immigrants. No peaceful human being is not, excuse me, no peaceful human being not in crime can be legitimately classified as illegal. We can't even believe we have to say this, but we really can't believe we have to say any of this. We do not support any, quote, legislation, magic, that is not already in harmony with the natural law. Therefore, we do not support the arbiters or the arbitration of those immoral dictates. We do not support or acknowledge permits, which is the abbreviation for permission, licenses, codes, statutes, or regulations. Let me say that one more time. We do not support any legislation that is not already in harmony with the natural law, which is bodily autonomy, etc. Therefore, we do not support the arbiters of those immoral dictates. We do not support or acknowledge permits, which is permission, licenses, codes, statutes, or regulations. Thank you, whoever you are, for liking. I can't see. I got. Let's see what this is. People, thank you. This is the cup that I got. Have you sitting in? Prop you up so you can see me. Got my Evolving Seeds official shirt on. P.S. With all of that said, Evolving Seeds does not engage in or support any acts of violence. Our affiliates do not engage in or support any acts or forms of violence. Evolving Seeds is not a crazy organization. We will never needlessly put ourselves or our affiliates in harm's way. And I do apologize for the sake of not being ableist and for the sake of respect, self-respect, social understanding, and cohesion. I will be changing that from crazy to a more apt, less discriminatory term. We will never needlessly put ourselves or our affiliates in harm's way. PPS, we do revoke and remove our consent to be governed by criminal tyrants. Official position number 3. By fact of Evolving Seeds official positions 1 and 2, Evolving Seeds does not support, advocate, or tolerate any form of law enforcement. We do not back the badge. We do not recognize blue lives as a thing or state of being. We do not respect any claims of jurisdiction or authority vested in strangers who are admittedly, from their own admission, equal under the law. I'll read that again. We do not respect any claims of jurisdiction or authority vested in strangers who are equal under the law. We do not support veterans. We do not support active military. Evolving Seeds recognizes that individuals who serve any government serve immorality. They are not responsible for our freedom. They are responsible for tyranny. And I'm speaking this very plainly. If you disagree, please come up. I'll keep an eye out on the guests. I'm not here to debate this. As I said, we wouldn't be debating this, but if you need clarification, I would be more than happy to give it to you. Official position number 4. Evolving Seeds does not support or advocate any form of debt-based fiat currency. We do not support fractional reserve lending-based monetary forms of exchange. Evolving Seeds does not acknowledge the Federal Reserve as a legitimate entity. Evolving Seeds recognizes that money is an illogical arbitrary value applied on necessary naturally occurring resources and living beings, which causes exploitation and destabilization in every environment unfortunate enough to fall prey to this system. Evolving Seeds' official position on money is that it is an imaginary construct developed and worshipped by human beings. As Jacques Fresco, extraordinary realist, and his one-of-a-kind organization, the Venus Project, asserts, quote, all resources are the common heritage to all humanity. This doesn't mean like in communism where you don't have any personal belongings, or I said that wrong and I apologize. In some forms of communism that have been developed and perpetuated and propagated, you wouldn't have personal property, but that's just a myth. It's not about the personal property. It's the means of production of things that end up personal property. So how we make cell phones. Nobody in a communist society has the right to your cell phone, but in a communist society, they have the means, they have the rights to the means of production. Society itself and the government of society, which is still mob rule, have the means of production. Please check out a resource-based economy. I digress. However, Evolving Seeds is well aware of the reality of money on the planet Earth. Contrary to popular belief, quote, it is not hypocrisy to use the king's tools to end his tyranny. As a caveat, all the tools we use are the king's tools. This phone I'm on using the king's tools. TikTok is the king's tool. The laptop I'm using is the king's tools. Everything is the king's when there is a hierarchy. Everything is the people's at the tops when there is hierarchy. Therefore, everything I'm using, from the house I have and pay for, to the car I drive, to the food I eat, is the king's. And that's been true since we had actual monarchies. The pitchforks that they overthrew the king with were his. The swords that they overthrew the king with were his. So that's no different than me picking up this sword or this sword to take down the very same tyrants, this very same type of tyranny, even though it is a different flavor. So, and that was my quote. I'll read that quote again. It is not hypocrisy to use the king's tools to end his tyranny. We do what we have to do, and we don't do what we don't have to do. However, there continues to be zero scientific evidence that applying arbitrary values to things is a beneficial practice. To survive, to thrive, and to fuel our fight, we do accept all forms of commonly exchanged currency. We also accept barter or fair trade for exchange. Oh God, the sun is up. And I don't mean the sun. Hello, baby boy. Can you hang out in the living room for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Dad is on TikTok live. And
can you do not work tomorrow?
I don't work tomorrow, baby. We might go hiking or something, so go back to bed. Just lay down with a blanket. That's my... Oh, it's my birthday, by the way. I keep forgetting that. Oh, it was. It was until 24 minutes ago. I didn't know it was that late, so I'm so glad he actually went back to bed on his own. I'm not even editing these YouTube videos. They're going right up just this way. I can't even begin to deal with the idea of refining these videos. I've refined the content on the website. So if you don't want to hear little kids walking in on me, or you don't want to hear my voice, you don't like my personality, go to the website. I think you'll like my writing, because that's all I've been reading for. That's all me. I wrote all this shit. Is Evolving Seeds pro-life or pro-choice? Evolving Seeds is a pro-choice organism. I have quotes around nothing here. I put quotes and I didn't close them in. I opened them, but I didn't close them. Evolving Seeds is a pro-choice organism. We appreciate the impact Roe versus Wade has had on women and society. However, due to our official positions 1 and 2, we do not advocate legislation like Roe versus Wade one way or another. We recognize that what happens to or with a woman's body is eternally her choice. Even though Evolving Seeds does not support solving problems caused by government by appealing to the same government, Evolving Seeds will participate diligently in the reversal of Roe versus Wade and that decision. So we don't advocate legislation and traditional enforcements of laws and how they are developed. So we don't advocate that. We do advocate the result of what Roe versus Wade symbolized and meant. But obviously, if they can take it away and revoke it and remove it and make it legal and all that shit, it was never really tangible or agreed upon even in society. And morality shouldn't be able, and excuse me, let me rephrase that. Morality does not change. So it changing is a clear sign of tyranny, or it being presented as changing is a clear sign that it is illegitimate. I'm gonna keep this side of my face because even though I look good, like at 41 like this, 41 right now, then I start smiling, you see all these missing teeth, and I like my face. I like my face, and I'm getting old. Oh my God, I'm getting old. But I did a lot with it. I'm very rich. I'm very rich with my family, with my in here. I am rich, filthy, disgusting, nasty, just garbage pile rich. Just the type of what they talk about billions on this planet. The work I've done, what I've learned, what I've put, what I've consumed, what I've created. Does Evolving Seeds support BLM, Black Lives Matter? Evolving Seeds does not directly support Black Lives Matter, BLM. We appreciate the impact the organization has had and continues to have. However, we also recognize in which ways BLM has been inevitably hijacked and turned into a political issue rather than a moral issue or the immutable truth. Evolving Seeds obviously and clearly supports the fact, truth, concept, and idea that humans who identify or would otherwise be identified as Black lives matter. We recognize the imminent danger to Black lives everywhere in comparison to those who suffer a less critical danger because of the color of their skin. However, Evolving Seeds continues to fight for the lives of Black people and all people, which is a nod to the LGBTQIA community and the trans community and any other community that's marginalized, and all people by working toward eliminating the number one taker and enemy of Black lives, trans lives, and gay lives, LGBTQIA lives, which is government and the illogical belief in authority vested in strangers and other human beings who are equal under the law. Does Evolving Seeds support voting rights? Evolving Seeds does not support voting as a means for harmonizing with natural law or producing lasting equitable change in society or civilization. Choosing a ruler, or even attempting to choose a ruler for oneself and one's neighbor, is illogical and highly immoral. However, we do support strategic voting on causes, not for people, or simply voting to prevent a worse outcome than if the vote is lost, Roe versus Wade, for example. That is the end of our frequently asked questions area. Yes, son.
Sunday, right?
Yes.
Great.
Now go back to sleep, please.
I'm playing on my phone.
He's playing on his phone. His mom is not going to be happy about that. So I have to stop all this, which is perfect because this is the end of the frequently asked questions section. I did want to say, though, in relation to this last part, ruler, there is a language that exists in language where Mark Passio has coined it as green language, which I think is a very apt term. But it's basically self-descriptive language in phonetics in language that already exists. We only speak English, Mark and I, and there's several other people who deal with this, but we're pretty sure that it exists in every language. But in English and anything that derives from Latin, it is wild how intrinsic and self-descriptive this gets. So we call these people rulers when we talk about kings and queens and monarchs, and when we talk about rulers in the modern day as politicians and the enforcers of the system, we're calling them rulers, which is a synonym for a measuring stick. That is why they are called rulers, because they are acting as the measuring stick of reality. When you get pulled over on the side of the road by John Q. order enforcer, law enforcer, they are claiming how reality is going to play out for you now in this present moment, and presumably in future interactions with them or the courts, usually the courts, which is a presumption of future interactions with possibly other entities, other organizations, time, community service as if we know what that amounts to. It amounts to a punishment, which is insulting to an adult and tedious at best. At worst, it's a waste of everybody's fucking time, like everything else in this system. But when we say the word ruler, we're talking about them being the measuring stick. In the old days, if the king said off with your head, if the ruler said off with your head at 8 o'clock the next a.m., then guess where your head wasn't at 8:05? Save a miracle. And that's the point. They're not just bad people doing bad things. They are acting as the measuring stick of reality and enforcing their arbitrary
has to touch his phone.
enforcement on its subordinates. Let's go. There's one in the living room. There's one in the living room. There's one in the living room.
But it's broken. Okay.
No, no phone. I tried to get him to go lay down. I didn't even end this. I could have ended this. I apologize. Well, you're here. This is the internet. You could have left. Not you necessarily, because you're awesome and you are engaged right now. There's nobody watching this. What's going to be this YouTube video. So for everybody on YouTube, this has been Evolving Seeds Frequently Asked Questions. Thank you very much.